Yeah.
in the midst of, and I think about church communications directors or church creatives, they've got a checklist of, I've got to create this bulletin on Sunday, I've got to create this promo video for this, and then the 2,700 emails that come in every day of requests, and it never ends. And Phil, you're running a business and running multiple things. No doubt your checklist is long. How do you balance the stuff that has to get done and still creating that space for creativity?
That's a great question. And one of my comments about the fact that, be careful of the time of day you're creative and where you're creative. I know people have a normal job. Some people are in a church or a ministry or a business, and they can't always just carve out the mornings or the afternoons or the evenings for their creativity. Yeah. So just do this. Focus as much as you possibly can. And one day you'll be released to do it. I wrote my first 2 books working at a full-time job. And in my early 30s, I wrote my first 2 books coming in 2 hours early. I would come in at 6 o'clock, so I'd have 2 uninterrupted hours before the workday started. And I wrote my first 2 books that way. So if you think about it and you really focus and create that routine, I did it every day and I got used to it. It wasn't, a pain after a while. And so that routine is so incredibly important for doing that. Now I'll say this. One other thing to think about is I'm probably like you. I'm an early adopter when it comes to digital stuff.
Yeah.
And so I actually have a folder of productivity apps on my laptop. I mean, I've tried them all. I've tried Wunderlist. I've tried Asana. I've tried Same Day. I've tried Things. I've tried OmniFocus. Just whatever you got, I've tried it. And they're all on my computer. But what I discovered was digital, particularly when it comes to scheduling your day and your to-do list, digital apps are just so easy. I use Things a lot. I use Asana with our team, our creative team, so we can kind of see what we're doing.
Yep.
But for me personally, I use Things. And the problem is Things is so easy. Yes. I mean, I can take an email and turn it into a to-do. I can take a portion of a website, turn it into a to-do. I can take a portion of a document or a full document, turn it into a to-do. Yep. So I look up and I've got 500 to-dos on my list. And I know you're supposed to prioritize, you're supposed to filter, but the truth is we dump. Creative people dump. We come up with stuff all the time, put it on the list. So I got so frustrated, I started thinking, I started to go back to a print planner. And I know that sounds really, the opposite direction, but I decided there needs to be a space in my digital life where I carve out for analog time, and that's my print planner. Now, I've searched them all. I probably got 30 of them in my office that I'm looking at, and I found 2 extremes, which are kind of interesting for creative people out there. One is like a moleskin, planners like a moleskin, things that are blank. You can do whatever you want. You can use them as a sketchbook, whatever, just blank pages.
Yep.
A bullet journal is a good example of that, but the problem is you've got to create every template. If you want to do a to-do list, you have to draw it in. If you want to create something else, draw it in. I don't have time for that. I'm a creative person. I'm working. I don't have time to create my to-do list. Then I went to the other extreme and found all these planners that, oh my gosh, they've got so many questions for you to fill out. I mean, they want every day they want you to fill out, what's my magical moment today? What's my daily affirmation? I don't have time for daily affirmations. I got to work. I got a job. Then when it comes to weekends, I actually found one planner that on the weekends, they want you to reflect and write down what you ate on the weekend. What do you plan to do for rest and relaxation?
Yeah.
What's your football game? I don't need to write that down on my planner. I'm good. So for creative people, I could never find something that balanced a little bit of, structure with freedom.